Hi and welcome. This is Sven Beiker, Silicon Valley Mobility, and this is Mari Herger, the last driver's license holder. And it's been some time until we had the last talk, since we had the last talk. So let's talk about some new developments in Germany.
Sure.
And we heard about German, like an earthquake in Germany. Daimler, Mercedes-Benz, and BMW join forces to do developments in car sharing, electric vehicles, but also autonomous vehicles together. What does it mean for Germany?
Well, let's put it this way: earthquakes are rare in Germany, but they do happen, and so it's definitely an awakening that things are shifting of tectonic scale. It's not entirely new that these arch rivals BMW and Daimler collaborate, because I actually was on a project collaborating with Daimler and General Motors about 10-15 years ago when we developed hybrid powertrains. Well, that was more subtle. And now Daimler and BMW first joining forces in their mobility services, Drive Now and Car2Go, was to be expected, has been in the making for quite some time, now actually okayed by the legal authorities. But now these other collaborations on autonomous driving and things like that is quite something. But it does confirm what we meaning consultants, have been saying and wondering for quite some time. These topics like shared mobility, autonomous driving, electric mobility, connectivity and the like are too big that one player by itself can do it, because it's so much about the infrastructure, it's so much upfront investment that you better partner up. Literally speaking, you partner up under the hood, but you differentiate your products in the market. And I think this is what we see here. And I absolutely think we will see more of it. I mean, Ford and Volkswagen would be another example. They do something similar. Right. It's happening. The automotive industry is going through tectonic shifts.
Do you think that this partnership is the right one? I mean, we have the two car makers joining, doing autonomous software. Shouldn't they aim at partnering with the class best, like let's say Waymo or Geo Cruise or Zoox, who apparently have the best disengagement rates or seem to be most advanced with the technologies? Shouldn't they focus on dealing with them, or is there something else that makes a good point why they join forces?
Well, it depends what you're aiming for. And if you primarily wanted to focus on mobility services of autonomous vehicles in a certain city or neighborhood or something like that.
Like a fleet, like a robot.
Yeah, like a fleet, like basically you whip out your app and you get a ride, let's say 5 minutes through the city, but not to the next city. Then that sounds like a Waymo or Cruise or Zoox, as you mentioned. Yes, but if you believe in let's say intercity connections, like you want to go from Munich to Stuttgart or Frankfurt, what have you, then that is different. That doesn't sound like what Waymo or Cruise is aiming for. But this is what makes a BMW and a Mercedes, and so therefore I think this is why it makes sense that they join forces like this. And by the way, I mean, these are not the only partnerships that these two companies have. For instance, Daimler is partnering with Bosch on a autonomous shuttle vehicle that they seem to be deploying later this year, so 2019 in San Jose, California. And BMW has collaborated for a long time with Intel Mobileye, also Continental for quite some time. So it's interesting to see that there's multi-facets and levels of partnerships.
The shifts are going also like in other directions. Last week we heard about Volkswagen kind of clashing heads with the VDA, Verband Deutsche Automobilindustrie, the Association of German Automotive Industry, because they are pushing to drop every other kind of alternative drive, like fuel cell or gas propulsion, instead go fully in electric drive. Is this a sign? What does it mean actually?
So that was quite interesting last week in German corporate and administrative terms. Well, as you say, Volkswagen heavily lobbying for one direction in policy to support battery electrics and not so much hybrids and not fuel cell, as you point out. And that just shows us that this is not just about technology and having a great product on the market. So you basically need to put out a framework of incentives, maybe mandates, that supports this, because the consumers are confused. Like, well, what should I buy? Should I buy a battery electric vehicle, or should I buy maybe a plug-in hybrid, or maybe just a traditional conventional vehicle? So therefore, corporations asking the legal authorities, please put out guidance for consumers. Certainly that's in the interest of the corporations, and this is what we see again, like the three big ones in Germany are not just friends, as whatever much they might be collaborating on other things. And this is just another chapter of a book that we maybe should write in our retirement. How did we end up here with the new automotive industry?
Right.
And it's rivalry and it's strategy.
Sex, drugs, and
it's pretty exciting,
and all this kind of stuff.
That's right.
So all the good stuff that makes a juicy book, right?
It makes it very juicy and spicy.
Let's move to another topic. The Tesla Model 3 arrived in Europe, and what we learn is that every week, basically 3,000 Tesla Model 3s are arriving, plus in addition to the Model S and the Model X to Europe. And just one number from the country that has today the most electric vehicles, Norway. They have daily actual numbers of how many cars are registered. So in March 19th of this year, they had already over 2,700 Model 3s registered. And you have to put it into relation to the numbers of vehicles that are registered every month in Norway, which is 12,000. So we can expect somehow that by the end of this week,
it's amazing,
a third of vehicles registered in Norway are Model 3s.
It's amazing.
Calculating that, breaking it down to Germany, we also see that there are probably around 900 per week are registered. So is this kind of a tipping point? I mean, now that these cars are here, is that this is kind of the sign really hitting the home market of German automakers?
Well, first of all, Mario, thanks for educating me on those numbers, because I always see, there's a lot happening, but you give me the numbers, so that's much appreciated. And actually, yes, I do think we are at a tipping point, inflection point, whatever you might want to call it. And the Model 3 uptake in Europe is one additional indicator. A very important indicator for me actually is that last year in 2018, we seem to be surpassing 2% of new vehicles sold being electric in many countries around the world. And I think average global new vehicle market share is about 2% plug-ins. Okay, the plug-in hybrids as well, but still. And that is very significant, because it used to be 1%, and we said, okay, isn't that cute, 1% or whatnot, but now it's really taking off. And with the Model 3, we definitely see it's a not quite affordable, but definitely more aggressively priced electric vehicle product. That is an amazing product, no question at all, and it's finding its way to Europe and certainly finding its customers. And it's happening. Electric vehicles are happening, period.
Well, I can only say we have a Model 3 now at home for 2 months, and it's driving absolutely fabulous. It's so much different than a combustion engine car. And not that drove cheap cars or something like that, but it's a very different feeling of it, and you see that's the future. So that was all today. Thank you, Sven. Sven Beiker, Silicon Valley Mobility, Herger, the last driver's license holder.
Always a pleasure. Thanks.